ever reliable former Undersecretary of the Department of Agriculture, Doy Salapo. Again, this is our 7th edition of our Usapang Pagkain, being done by the Philippine Chamber of Agriculture and Food. I'd like to thank you again for coming. Mabuti naman din nyo kami binibitagan. Salamat, Jervis, for your interview. Pupunta naman sa sibuyas. Well, as you see, sibuyas, asin, garlic, sugar, ang always ang ating problema. But, you see, hindi lang naman yun ang pagkain natin. So, we are looking now of the future. What is really going on in the bigger picture? Yung ating niluluto na sibuyas, bawang, asin, yung mais naman, umpisahan na rin, no? Dito about more perhaps in the next and the cold chain in the next session. So every month, you will notice that we've been discussing major issues and forthcoming issues. And this time, we deem it fit to discuss what really is happening to our economic growth, the performance of our economy. We've been, everybody is rejoicing that we have a growth rate of 7.6% GDP. Annual growth rate. Wonderful. The highest in the Asia-Pacific region. But if you will study further what happened, the services and industries really perform well. But while everybody is rejoicing the growth of our GDP, kami po ay nagluluksa sa agriculture. Because agriculture suffered a negative 0.1%. And poultry and livestock has grown alright. It's been growing. Especially dairy, where I belong, sa 40% growth. But what is telling, the crops is understandable, it's almost flat. Negative 1%, I think, is almost flat. 19.9 million metric tons to 19.7 million metric tons is not much. Even because, even the result of the higher cost of inputs, of fertilizer, and of course, the calamities that happened to us. Despite that, we are even flat. We are okay on the crops. But I'm sure this coming year, if we can have about 1 to 2% growth, will be great enough for our economy. But the topic today is what really that have a setback. While everything is going up, the fisheries sector suffered a negative 5% decline. And what is the reason? You will hear this in a little while from our resource person. And in addition to that, we have to think about the future. Water. Without water, you cannot plant. Without water, we cannot survive. And our climate change is giving a lot of problems with the agriculture sector. We're all dependent on that. That's why, in anticipation of the future problems, we will now discuss these things veering away from the hot issues of sibuyas. Now, the sibuyas, I will tell you, I just bought yesterday. I got it from our farm in Nueva Ecija, in Bantog, Lanore. In the farm level, it's 50 pesos per kilo. Kung ano man ang sinadidinig nyo, ito kahapon ng hapon, binili ko sa tabi ng aking bukid. I asked the farmer, pwede bang bigyan mo ko sa buriki? Because this yesterday afternoon, I was there. Sabi niya, may ahin ko eh. So, sige, magkano? 65. So, these are the sibuyas that we're having now. Isa puti at saka yung pula, parehas naman ang sa presyo. Pero ang cost nila is less than 20 pesos per kilo. Pabilit mo ng 40, 50. That's fair enough. Why are they insisting to sell it at 200, 250? Now, we have SRP and nobody's following the SRP ng bagong SRP ng Department of Agriculture. Kung nakikita natin, nagsasamantala ang ating mga traders, perhaps we can always also when they point the finger, the farmer, to the trader, the three fingers are pointing at them. Tingnan naman natin yung mga consumer. I have to be fair to everyone concerned. We have a guest here from Rotary International. Is the following test. Is it fair to all concerned? And that's your always practice. So I'd just like to relate to you what's going on in the ground. So now we have submitted our third aid memo to the President last week. And we focused on the fishery sector because, well, as I said earlier, while everything is going up, 7.6% growth, the highest in the Asia Pacific region, but the fishery sector suffered a negative 5%. And we are, my God, we are a nation of islands surrounded by water. We have 2.2 million square kilometers of water from the ECC. We have 1.5 million hectares of inland water. We have 32,300 kilometers of shoreline. And yet, our fishery sector suffered a negative 5%. As against the 7.6% they're claiming as the growth. If we can help bring it up by discussing this and bringing to the attention of the government, perhaps we could be able to save and perhaps add a little for the benefit of our country and our economy. So this is the topic we are going to discuss. We can answer questions later. We are having problem with our internet. So our Facebook and our virtual participants, maraming virtual participants sa media. We just have to raise to them. We're sorry about that. Our internet's down. We're trying to solve that. Hope we can do it within the time. So, I will not be discussing the details. I have submitted to you the gist and the body of what we have submitted to the President. And we are confident that this memo, this is the third memo we sent to the President. We're confident that the President is reading this and is aware of what we have told him in our suggestion. And hopefully, as the same as the first and the second memo, there were concrete action that were done by the President. It takes time. It takes time for our productivity to be felt. Supply is the problem. That's why we have an inflation of 8.7%. About 55 to 60% of our inflation is brought about by food consumption, household consumption. If we can do something about the supply, we can bring down prices. It's always a function of supply and demand. So we have to bring it down. By February, usually, after Christmas, January, February is a little down, going down in terms of demand, as against the Christmas season. So we are thinking, and I think we are projecting that the second quarter will have a better inflation and it will go down. And I agree with the President's prediction that it will go down. Because really, the first quarter is the time when everything goes down and the supply is going up. Because these are the time that we harvest our crops, we have more supply, and it will be boosted. By now, it will be boosted by third and fourth quarter. We should have the result and support for the productivity of our lands. So that will be done. I hope that can be done and anticipated. And since the budget of government has increased in terms of the Department of Agriculture, it can help a lot. I've noticed that in Sibuyas, for example, we have six cold storage facilities that will be constructed, 40 million each. That will be only for 3,000 metric tons of sibuyas. We need 110,000 metric tons to be in the cold storage. That is the gap. About 100 to 110,000 metric tons. And what they're putting up is 3,000. Wait. How do you solve this? That if we will not import this coming year, again, we will have a sibuyas twice more expensive as the meat in the market. And planning, anticipation is always the key. and we are calling the attention of the Department of Agriculture and the government. We have to anticipate things this coming. Let us not make what happened this last quarter happen again this year. Or else, baka bumangon sa libingan si Albert Einstein at magalit na sa atin. Doing the same thing over and over again and we're expecting a different result. That's stupidity. So, I do not like to elaborate this. I would like to thank our resource person, an expert for water and climate change, and of course, our favorite speaker for the fishery sector. We will have some more the following month up to, this is the 7th, and it's going on, the traction is there. Thank you very much for coming, and I hope you enjoy the day. And the same interaction, we will accept all questions, not only on fish, just throw it in, we'll try to answer them for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom, for this morning's discussion. Well, special welcome to our guest from Rotary International, Ms. Barbara Tolentino.
Good morning, everyone.
Welcome to our gathering. Okay, so it's but fitting that we have our Vice President for External Affairs with us this morning. And why not? Because he is also our lead convener for the water security movement of our country. And to share his message for today and to continue on to introduce our first resource person, may I call on Ernie Ordonez.
Fish be with you. That is our title today. But more importantly, happy Valentine's Day. You know, you have onions, no? And you might cry for the gift that Dan is giving you. But do you want to cry? Not out of happiness, but out of joy. Because Danny gives his 8 memoirs, right? And you see it come out. The president is moving his 8 memoirs. So let me tell you something. We love farmers and fisherfolk. But we could not really help them without you putting it in the press. Because if it's not in the press, Danny's 8 memoir might be in the trash can. But because it's in the press, they look at it and they act on it. And the farmers and fisherfolk are telling us, parang may nangyayari dyan sa kapihan ninyo. Sabi ko, dahil sa mga taong pupunta dito, you're helping us, so we cry out of happiness that you're helping us. On that note, I'd like to tell you the topics. There are 2 topics today. The first one is water. The second one is a part of water, which is the fisheries section, and concentrating perhaps on something very hard, sardines, right? However, I like to tell you this. We have a water crisis, we have a food crisis, isn't it? But there is another crisis called water crisis. You can last without food for 7 or 10 days, especially those who want to do swimming. But you can't last without water for more than 3 days. And not only that, 7% of the water is done with agriculture. So water is critical for our lives. It's critical for us. And to have as our speaker, let me just tell you, we may have the best in the country to do this. Why? Because we didn't talk about water and we beg to have a bill on water. Only Bongbong has done that. But they cannot wait because you have a recommendation. It takes 5 years, sometimes 5 years. So in the news, I want to say we're news-oriented. We are talking to news people. And we would like you to help us. A few days ago, President Marcos said there's going to be a water council. That's new, all right? And we'd like to say what that does is what is the result of a pre-water national roadmap, which is headed in terms of the technical by no less than the guest speaker. Our guest speaker took his speech in Japan. He's going to go to Japan. I kid her because he was another honeymoon. But she's going with her husband. Doon siya mag-Valentine's Day. Maybe the lead speech, I don't know. But I'd like to read this. She came back. She's the head of the only center for water in the whole country. It was set up after she did her work with his water roadmap, correct? Where they look at the ADB rankings. ADB rankings for water is one, the worst, pinakagulo out of 48 countries. pinakabulok tayo, 1. After that, 2. So they went to us, and with their leadership, ADB, not sip or not politicians, they increased our ranking by 1 bit, not from 1 to 2 to 3, 2 to 3, right? So let's listen to her, no? She's gonna talk about what is this water crisis, di ba? What is this water crisis? Water everywhere, baha palagi, water no drought. Ano ba nangyari dito? What is this thing called water? And secondly, if you have this thing called water, why is it not being attended to? Because with her work now, we're up to 3, we can go further. Yeah, but, and most importantly, what does it mean to you writing the stories, right? Because we can give you 1,000 items, you concentrate on 2 or 3 para soundbite at malinaw, right? And at the end of her thing, she'll give an example for water in general, and ginawa niya ito. Sabi niya, she will not do it, she'll done it, no? And it can be spread. The other one is agriculture-related water, right? So on that note, I'd like to let you know that she's the head of this technical. Just to let you know, I was appointed Secretary General, even though I was private secretary. At 60 departments, water roadmap strategy. The head of the technical group was her. And you know what? Can I tell you something? They gave me 7 books for each category of ADB. We screwed up in each category. One is agriculture, one is environment, one is, water for the poor communities. Right? You know what? All of them were turned down. Nagalit sila. Kasi pang-bansa ito. So you know what she did? You know what she did? She got a UPLB team to sign every single dollar. So ginawa magaling na pangalan nila, no? So she knows all the aspects. So I'm letting you know, these are catalysts, no? Are catalysts. And with you, and Secretary Saga said, she'll be using her a lot now because wala nangyari sa water na, meron na, diba? So on that note, I want to introduce you Dr. Patricia Sanchez, who is the executive director, my friend.
Yes.
My friend Lloyd is telling me, she's the executive director of the only water center for UPLB, which is center for the whole country. Yeah, she's making my correction. Specifically, okay, she is basically the chair of the International Studies Center for Water for the entire country. So yan po si Pat Sanchez. Women are better than men usually. In this case, it is absolutely true when it comes about water roadmap. No? Okay, so I introduce you, Dr. Patricia Sanchez.
Ayun, I think Karen is overselling me. Behind everything na effort namin doon, actually is the brains of Karen. He was the one, he was the catalyst that started it all. Siya yung unang pumatok at nanulit sa UPLB, and we responded by coming up with our group. So ayan, so for today, my talk is addressing...
May I request that you stand up for politics because the TV is showing here.
Okay.
Besides, you're so beautiful, they should see you.
Do you want me to stand over there? Or here na lang? Ganun lang. Here na lang. Sige. So, my talk is on addressing water insecurity. And this is just a portion of everything that we are doing. So, my focus will be on domestic water supply and demand and agriculture. And then, sa latter part, we're going to talk about climate change and some of our efforts related to that. So I'm going to start this talk with SDGs and water security. So we are all very familiar with the 17 SDGs or Sustainable Development Goals. 5 of them are actually very much related to water. So the goal 2 is to end hunger. Goal 6 is for water sanitation. So 6 is for sanitation, 11 is for resilient cities, 13 is for climate change action, and 14 is for conserving and sustainably using ocean, seas, and marine resources. And so madaming SDGs po. Now let's take a look at water resources in the Philippines. So I gave you statistics. You can get a copy of my slides if ever. I think it's with them already. So when we look at water resources in the country, we have a total of approximately 990 million cubic meters. Yung pointer. 990 million cubic meters per year of total fresh water in the country. Ang average rainfall natin is 2,400. This is average kasi sometimes it can go higher or lower depende kung anong taon. And some of our water sources come from rivers, lakes, swamps, and runoff. So if you take a look, itong 145, 20,200 of that is from groundwater and the rest comes from surface water. So if you take a look at our water resources in the country, marami siya. So however, may seasonal variations tayo. Ibig sabihin, hindi sa lahat ng pagkakataon, nandyan siya pag kailangan natin. And these are some of the seasonal variations and geographic distribution. So kung makikita nyo, hindi pantay-pantay ang ating rainfall pattern. Yung availability of surface water is also not located uniformly all over the country. Groundwater sources are all over the place. And most of our water utilization actually comes from the groundwater. And water availability per capita. So may mga brown spots as you can see. So, medyo mababa dyan ang water availability. Unfortunately, malapit na sa inyo. Yun. So water availability per capita varies nationwide. And this is the breakdown of surface water at 80% dependability and groundwater sources per region. Ang pinakamataas natin is Caraga, and ito, Metro Manila actually has a very low water resource potential. And again, unfortunately, nasa Metro Manila yung pinakamalaking water users natin. So we have to figure out a way to get all these available water resources to where we need it the most. Ayan. So pagdating naman sa sinong gumagamit nito. So we have competing water users. Majority, sabi nga ni Karni, is agriculture, domestic use, industry, power generation, and recreational use. Nahahati ito sa consumptive and non-consumptive. Consumptive, ibig sabihin na uubos siya. And non-consumptive use, so dumadaan lang ang tubig pero hindi siya naubos. So essentially, ayan. If you take a look, sorry medyo maliit, but again, you can copy this later. Sa consumptive use, nakahati siya sa irrigation water, which consists of 76%. Consumptive is around 80,000 million cubic meters per year. So 76% is irrigation of the 80,000, mga 62,000 million cubic meters. And then domestic water is at 8% of that. Industrial water is 14% of that, and others 2%. Ayun. And then sa non-consumptive, power generation and recreational use are those. Okay. And so paano natin siya ma-manage pagdating sa agriculture? So we have several possibilities. And actually, nile-lecture namin ito sa klase, so maybe you can just read through them. And these are all very practical management strategies that you could implement, such as improving our irrigation system. So we know that NIA is continuously upgrading our irrigation system. So may mga inefficiencies tayo. So our goal is to actually make it more efficient. Like yung mga canals natin, i-improve natin, and so on. And optimizing irrigation and the utilization of technologies. So added technologies sa pag-irrigate na ma-optimize talaga ang paggamit ng water. Crop development. So kasi we are kind of stuck with traditional crops, but we have to explore water efficient crops, no? That could really optimize what we have in that area. Kasi traditional farmers would go for, hindi, sanay kaming palay. So it's always palay. If water availability is low, we might need to explore, changing that crop to something that is less parang water hungry na crop, kumbaga. So crop development is a must also. Pagdating naman sa public supply and domestic use, so we have some of the following, and sa domestic water. So ito, sa mga bahay-bahay natin, pwede natin ma-implement itong mga strategies na ito. Ayan. So, kwentong water security. This is one of the outputs. I'm sorry, it's so small. Tingin na lang tayo dito sa kanan. So, these are some of the issues that Siyempre, malabo ang mata ko. Hindi ko rin po makita. But these are the outputs of our water security road mapping project with Ka-Ernie. And isa sa mga nakita talaga na nakaka-apekto sa water insecurity is our governance. Ayan. So, let me just read that out. Okay lang ba? Kita ko ba? Ayan. So, pagdating sa water governance, inadequate or inappropriate infrastructure, unsustainable agriculture, mining, and inadequate policies and law enforcement, inadequate watershed data sets and information system, fragmented development and planning, overlapping and inefficient institutional mandates, inadequate human resources and expertise, and increasing population, all lead to issues that relate to weak governance. And then, si weak governance, dadagdagan pa siya ng unsustainable human activities. Makaka-apekto talaga siya dun sa ating watershed degradation. Ayan. And because the watershed is degraded, apektuhan din niya yung ating water resources. And this results to loss of watershed services and yun, syempre hindi natin ma-achieve yung ating SDGs. Ayan. Kung titingnan natin, so ang root of our problem pagdating sa water insecurity is governance, di ba? Pero kung titingnan natin, hindi naman tayo nagkukulang pagdating sa policies. Meron. So, meron tayong water code, meron tayong other legal frameworks, and all of these are supposed to address our water governance issues. However, nandito na ako. Ayan. Medyo fragmented kasi ang ating sistema. So, I'm actually super happy with the Water Council that has recently been organized because isa yon sa mga possible ways that we can consolidate everybody na nag-work on water. So, ito po ay functional chart natin. So, pagdating sa policy making, regulatory and WRB, water quality and sanitation, ang daming kasama, watershed management, integrated area development, data collection, etc. So everybody is doing a little bit on different components of water. And ang hirap lang kasi kanya-kanyang organization, kanya-kanyang institution, kanya-kanyang ginagawa. Sometimes may mga linkages such as kapag may DWGs, but most of the time, parang ang hirap mag-consolidate kasi syempre ibang institution yun, ang hirap mangialam, diba? So, the council, for me, I'm a proponent of having this apex body, whatever it is that they come up with, I'm all for it. Kasi nga, ang gulo natin. So, ito yung nahanap ng aming group as the root cause of all the water insecurity. Ito, plus, of course. But we can address this by having that apex body that we have been talking about for so long already.
I had to interrupt. Baka dapat Office of the President, kasi lahat yan, they work independently. Somebody has to orchestrate at the top. Not NEDA, I mean, policy yun.
No,
Anyway.
Or create a separate
Hiwa-hiwalay actually sila.
Create a separate
Actually, we got this from NEDA's, syempre NEDA yung nakagitna. Kasi NEDA po yung water master plan na pinagkuhanan namin ng figure na ito. But nonetheless, hindi hawak ni NEDA ang gawain ng iba-ibang institusyon. So, it's... Oo, parang ang hirap pakialaman ang database, halimbawa, ni Pag-asa. Hindi parang gano'n, diba? So, yun, I think...
We will not interrupt. She and I accepted. We'd like to let you know that Secretary Rosada talked to Wilson, and he is going to use all these resources. And we know what's happening here. And this is the president, Thomas Sigler. Mapalaki man Thomas Sigler. I'm just saying that we're deeply involved. And Mr. Fausto, my vice He's the vice chairman, incidentally, of the movement.
Good.
He's guiding. I don't do anything as if I'm speaking. Boss ko yan eh. I'm just telling that we have another one. This is really happening now. Can I just soundbite that? This is very hot right now. So she's gonna tell you this really interesting news. But let me say that this thing is very strategic. For the first time, 30 years have come there, but I won't talk anymore. Bye-bye.
Okay. Sige ma, tuloy.
Ayun. So, antabayanan na lang po natin kung ano yung mga susunod na steps nila kasi bagong-bago itong council. But I think the target is to consolidate all these efforts. Mahirap kasi hiwa-hiwalay siya maka-house. So that's why we are starting with the council. And then eventually, hopefully, Department of Water as mandated by the President. Ayun. So, dahil doon sa aming grupo at sa aming effort na ang nagbabaking ay si Sir Ernie, simulat sa pool, at ito po ang kwento kung bakit kami nagkaroon ng IDSC water just so we can have a glimpse. So, we started with taking a look at the Asian Water Development Outlook. Tapos, yung themes or thematic areas doon sa outdoor report ng ADB na yan, ginamit namin as kind of the framework for our activity towards a comprehensive national plan for water roadmap preparation with NWRB and UPLB. So this was the brainchild of Sir Ernie. So simula pa po noong 2016, 2017, sinimulan namin ito. And yes, we did come up with the 7 pre-summits and the 7 books. And then eventually, NWRB consolidated this to the National Water Summit that they held last 2018, before COVID. Ayun. But because of this group, nagkaroon kami ng several sectors in the university led by the deans na kasi we were writing the book. And dahil friends kaming lahat, we decided to come up with the Interdisciplinary Study Center for Water. So actually, the UPLB IDSC Water is a volunteer group. Wala pa sumusweldo. Except yung mga full-time staff. Ayun. But these are comprising all the passionate people of UPLB from the researchers, the academe, the faculty members, and so on, para magawa ng research in water. And you can tap us anytime if you have questions related to water. I may not have all the answers, but we have this year, nag-iba-iba kasi, we have about 42 members coming from the academy, including our emeritus professors.
3 minutes more. Open forum. Excited open forum.
Yes, po. Ito po ang aming mission, vision, and goals. And ito po ang framework that stemmed out from the water road mapping. So, nag-focus po kami sa mga themes and problems that were identified in the 7 pre-summits and looked at research and development, community and policy advocacy, networking, and capacity building. So yun po yung parang mga subgroups namin sa water sector. And then, we do studies. So let's take a look at some case studies in agriculture. So ito po ay pagdating sa irrigation, ang tinignan namin ay yung sa Angat at saka yung sa Lanao. And if you look here, pagdating sa supply and demand, medyo magkakalapit naman. So you might notice na medyo mas mababa ang supply kaysa sa ang demand. Pero nag-iiba-iba po ito sa bawat one. This is just an average.
So, you know, I should be a gentleman, but Bombit, I also love Bombit. He's gonna speak for them. I'd like to answer something that will be very newsworthy. Ang tatanong na sa is, what is the problem of water? No? Meron siyang non-agriculture, agriculture, 3 minutes you show it. Kasi if we do this, baka we'll take another 5 minutes. So, sasagutin niya, unang sinabi na niya so we have so much water and we're not doing it well. This council at Silvagulo is doing it. But right now, meron siya masasabihin sa inyo, very newsworthy. No? Meron siyang non-agriculture and agriculture. Siguro 1.5 minutes. Para malaman na niyo, itong daldal. Kasi this woman is not only a brilliant, she's experienced, she's done it. Okay. So, Pat, can you go to that?
Sorry, hindi ko na natapusin, sir.
What is the problem? What are the 2 areas?
Okay. Ulit na, sir. Okay, alright. These are some of our case studies from all the researches that we have done. And ito nga, yung sa supply and demand ng mga graphs natin. So supply, demand yun ng iba-ibang areas. And so kinukulang, sometimes, no, kinukulang ang tubig for some reason. Even if we have so much water, so yung 145,000 million cubic meters per year natin. So, kinukulang pa rin siya. Ayan. And, sorry, bibilisan ko na lang, sir. With the additional burden of climate change, so we also do climate change projections. Makikita natin na some areas are drier, some areas are wetter, and actually, ang dami, kanya-kanyang problema. So this is for 5 cities. Kanya-kanyang problema sila. But pagdating sa water supply and demand, for example, kailangan mag-select talaga tayo ng iba-ibang recommendations. So yung sinasabi ni Sir Ernie, so sa ginawa namin, so this is, ginawa din namin ba? But sa ginawa namin, yung recommendations kasi, halimbawa for Cagayan de Oro, the adoption of rainwater harvesting or regulation of the extraction of groundwater. So yung mga ganun, very specific siya for the specific areas. And in the case of what we did, we actually thesis siya ng estudyante namin siya sa Hayaan. Familiar ba kayo sa Laguna? Hayaan. Community na side. So, ayun, the saucy side is na Kaliraya. Kami ay sa Sitio Pulupay. Sa non-saucy side. Ayun, it's a waterless community. And yung ganitong recommendation, so it looks like just a list in paper, but when you implement it on the ground, no, it could help waterless communities like the ones in Sitio Pulupay. Ang ginamit namin doon is a rainwater harvester na alulod style lang. So, iisa lang ang building na merong corrugated sheet. All the rest ay pawid. So, hindi ka makakalagay ng rainwater collector pag ganun. We spent about 18,000 pesos. DOST scholar ang aking alaga, so nabayaran naman ni DOST ang aming rainwater collector. But it supplies water to the school. But since the school is the biggest structure, it supplies water to the community of 200 people in that island. Di ba yung sa Kaliraya, yung mga golf courses and resorts? Doon sa kaduluduluhan, 45 minutes by boat away, may sitio doon na hati na siya. Hindi na yun naaabot masyado ng mga tao. And they get water from the Kaliraya Lake, which we know comes from Laguna Lake na nakapump out, and they think that it's fresh spring water. Ika nga, 10% lang naman daw namamatay sa recent. So, pwede na. But it's not okay. Yun. Kaya we wanted to make sure that at least the children would have clean water for washing their hands, for drinking, but even the rest of the community are able to utilize that water. Sinabay namin yun, sir, sa WASH na program. Kaya may yung hand washing, yung mga ganyan. So that's one technology. So pagdating po sa mga recommendations na to, pag sa waterless community, yun yung isa namin. And then, I promised Sir Ernie tatlo. So yung dalawa na lang. Do I do agriculture? Okay. Pagdating naman sa agriculture, in upland communities, so pag sa agriculture kasi, yung sa NIA, nakita natin na halos pumapantay kaya, but these are just the areas that are irrigated. So yung irrigable area lang in NIA. So, and nasusuplayan. Pero what about the non-irrigated or the rain-fed areas? What can we do? So, asa sa ulan yun Anong ibig sabihin nun? Anday sila na uulan, matutubigan yung crops, and then that's it. In my former institution sa ICLA, sa World Agri-Forestry Center, we actually would do trainings for, it's also a form of rainwater harvester. Pero ano siya, open na parang reservoir na pwede siyang lined, pwede rin siyang unlined kung clay yung lupa doon. So, water would be collected from the rain, of course, with alulod or without alulod, that's fine because it's like a big area. The farmer can construct it. Nagbibilang kami ni Sir Ernie kung magkano. So, you need a kalabaw, a hoe, and a farmer willing to do it. And of course, the area. So, sabi ko, pinakamahal na Sir Ernie yung bayad sa lupa. Mga 5,000 ang kalabaw, yung hoe, 2,000. and then the land area. But it's a big hole in the ground, basically, that could be lined or unlined, and it would be collecting water. So we need water collectors, diba? So these could be some of the simple technologies, and it's very easy to implement. Basically, you just pound the soil. Well, you dig a hole, you pound the soil, and then you collect water in an area na malapit sa inyong agricultural land. Yan. So, isa po yun sa mga solutions. So, that's it. That's all I have.
Alam po ninyo, I'm a frustrated writer. Daming sinabi, no? O, itong soundbite. Ito, unang-una, binanggit niya, no? Di ba? Ang daming tubig yung ginawin ng tama. There is water everywhere and water nowhere. Depends. But, sinabi niya, water harvesting. Alam po ninyo sa India, 60% of the tubig na buhuli, dito 4%. 4%. At sinabi niyo sa example niya, 80,000, kinompute ko na. Alam po niyo, mas mura pa ito sa cheese na binigay niyo sa this morning. Ito ay 90 pesos per person for life. Right? I divide it, di ba? 90 pesos per person for life. Ito, cheese nyo, yan, tapos na. Cheaper. And the other one naman, kinompute ko 7,000. Kung wala kang talaga, may talaga pa. And that one is the whole thing. It is so disgusting, isn't it? Disgusting, we're actually one of the worst, but because we're working that stuff. But like, kung soundbite ang gagawin nyo, you'll find out that there are these things exist. It's not being spread, right? Okay? And it's so cheap. Yun ang po. And I'd like to let you know the Institute of Water is new. And that's it. Yung po. So, I'm the one mixing it usually. He's the main guy, Danny Falcon.
Well, isa-segue ko lang, no? The reason why I was in our town yesterday, dahil yung aking mga kalabaw, wala nang mainom na tubig. Yung aquifer, lumalalim. So, as we speak now, nagpapaong kami ng additional tubo. Palalim ng palalim yung aquifer. You can just imagine, walang mainom ang manok, ang baboy, ang mga livestock. Sa agriculture, yung palay, umaasa sa ano. Pag pinutol mo yung tilapid, tatapon na yung tubig. No? Pagka-harvest mo na yan, tatakbuhin mo na yung tubig, pupunta sa sapa, pupunta sa dagat. We can have a reverse use of this water. Saka yung irrigation natin, pagdating ng ulan, bagyo, i-overspeed natin, i-open ka ng gates. Dapat mayroong sasalo ng secondary irrigation, impounding system, tertiary, para pagdating ng tag-araw, meron tayong tubig. Alam niyo sa Amerika, if you've been to, nakamagana kayo sa West Coast, California, nagkakagalit-tagalit na doon. Hindi pwedeng magdilig ng garden. Kaya ang mga garden doon, plastic. Plastic yung damo. Nag-aaway na yung farmer at yung mga households dahil inaano ng farmer yung tubig na iinimin. Pag nalagay naman sa iinimin, wala namang itatanim yung farmer. That is happening and it will happen. Tayo po, ang dami nating tubig, ang dami nating ulan. Babagsak ang ulan, pupunta sa karsada, gutter yung karsada, tuloy-tuloy ang bilis ng takbo papunta sa dagat. Kailangan po natin yung tubig na yun. There are so many other countries that are in drought. And we cannot survive. That's why I find it very important to talk about water now for the sake of the future. So, in-anticipate natin. Sana, ang ating gobyerno, tingnan yan. Yung rainwater harvesting. Nagkakagulo-kagulo na sila dyan sa Amerika. Nag-harvest na sila ng water sa mga rainwater. Tayo, dami nating ulan. 4% lang pinaka-capture natin, 60% sa ibang bansa. India. Kung hindi, boss, siguro, sabi nga ni Kayan, 10 araw wala kang pagkain, huwag ka lang magkaroon, magkawala ng tubig. Mabubuhay ka with tubig. But we are losing it. We're losing our water because we are not managing it properly. We have to manage our water for our food production. And also for our human consumption. Titingnan po natin yan. Hindi natin nakikita ngayon yan. But I tell you, in the next 3-5 years or 1 decade, tingnan natin yung pinag-uusapan natin ngayon. Makikita nyo na mangyayari. Tingnan yung mangyayari sa ating mga anak, ating mga apo. Yun lang po.
Thank you. Thank you, President. Tanong ko nga ito ba yung napresenta sa isang DA secretary? Hindi ba? Kasi ako, galing naman ako doon, no? Meron kaming Bureau of Soils and Water Management. Nandun yung Small Water Impounding Program. Yun yung kinagkwento ni Dr. Sanchez na may liner pa yan. Alam ko, naging political tool Pagka-partido kita, Mayor, bibigyan kita. Pag hindi ka kapartido, sorry na lang, hindi kita bibigyan. So yun, those are the realities. No? Thank you very much, Dr. Sanchez.
Isa lang. Sana wag mangyari yung water council natin, parang bamboo council. Yung bamboo council walang pera. Tinayan yung council walang pera. Itong water council, wala rin pera to. Okay? Kwento to, kwento. Kamukha ng bamboo. Yung bamboo, nagsisave ng water yan. Pati yung erosion, protection na ng ating mga rivers. Yung ating mais, kahapon, pinapatubigan ko, hinihidit ko yung tubig sa ilog. Kasi wala akong makuha sa ilalim. Sa ilog ako kumukuha. At yan, pinoproteksyon ako. Dahil nagtanim ako ng mga kawayan, hindi na muli yung aking para sa ilog. Yun lang po, practical lang.
Okay, practical. Thank you. I'm sure media is reserving their queries, no? We'll have interesting Q&A portion later. Just to acknowledge the presence of, we have Manila Bulletin's Yvette Tan. She's here. Hi, ma'am. Yun. And of course, from Net 25, our good friends, Ludovico Sumintak, Jem Edson Vega, Rowell Lumbao, and Junrel Martinez. Okay, welcome po sa ating gathering. Okay, very interesting. Ngayon, let's focus now on the agribusiness side of water. Pag-usapan natin yung marine and aquaculture agribusiness components. We have an expert with us this morning. He is the Executive Director of the Canned Sardines Association of the Philippines. He is the Executive Director of the Tuna Canners Association of the Philippines. And of course, more importantly, he is a Board of Trustee of our chamber, the Philippine Chamber of Agriculture and Food Incorporated. Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Francisco Bombi Buencamino.
Thank you. I'll stand up. I don't have a PowerPoint presentation because I intended to make this a anticipatory dialogue. In other words, magiging kwento so that it leads to questions and question after question because I will help you ask the questions sa open forum which I can answer. I will not lead you to questions I cannot answer. Okay? Obviously, all right. First, Joy, I am not a mariculture person.
Okay.
We have somebody else for that. I think it's Chingit. Norbert, yes. But I can talk of tuna and canned sardines. Yung tuna, huwag na ninyong intindihin. Ang tuna, dahil hirap ang tuna in the global market. Why? There's a very simple and basic answer to that. Tuna swims around the globe of the Earth 15 degrees above the equator and 15 degrees below the equator. Nowhere else you will find tuna. So yan ang hamulan. That's where the tuna brand is, and all that the tuna does is they run around the globe looking for food. And we are blessed that we are in the zone so that we have tuna in the Philippines. However, we have become overfished in tuna, so we are now catching from the Indian Ocean, from Papua New Guinea, from the Pacific Commons, which are the high seas and so forth. So, nagkakahirapan. Our previous source before was Indonesia, but every time we overlap our exclusive economic zone with the exclusive economic zone, binubomba tayo. Ang sagot natin, wala tayong bomba. Hindi tayo lumalaban sa bomba. Ang ating nilalaban lang yung pagyayabang na ang bisikleta, ang pupuntahan natin, ituturok natin yung bandera ng Pilipinas. You know what I'm referring to. Okay, anyway, I will go to the more sensitive species, which is sardines. Sardinella, Lemuro, or Lomicet. In common terms, it is called tamban. Tamban is a very small archipelagic fish, which is very bony, it's very scaly. It really is a lousy fish. But it is only good for canning. And when you have that, then nung araw, most of the people involved in tamban catching have become rich because of tamban, and they have put up canneries. Sila rin yun eh. They developed into the canneries. Right now, I'm the executive director of about 14 companies with about 22 brands, different brands. And we produce about 2 billion cans a year. Okay, that's the market of canned sardines. When I spoke before, the first time that I was invited by PCAFI-Han to be a speaker, I talked of a looming shortage. If you remember, the word looming has become abused and overused. Looming, no? Sabi, ano ba ibig sabihin? Is there a shortage? Sabi ko, looming nga, wala pa ngayon, but it will be there sooner or later. However, right now, we are beginning to feel the shortage. Alright, when I talk to you about the looming shortage, it's because the industry of tamban fishing is only operational for 9 months in every 12-month year. We are not allowed to catch fish as commercial fishing in the last 3 months of the year, so that we can assist the sea to repropagate the supply of sardinas, other waters. So no fishing is done from December 1 of every year in the Zamboanga area, December 1 to February 28. And only fishing resumes in March 1. Okay. Because of that, the scramble for fishing is stepped up after July. Pakbakan na yan, naghuhulihan na ng isda at nagkakaubusan. Because we have to stock up on a buffer of about maybe 75,000 metric tons for the last 3 months of the year, especially during the Christmas season. And especially during calamities and other periods where you have panic buying, and the LGUs of the local governments buy up the canned sardines for distribution of food aid to those that have been affected by the calamities. The problem is, I don't know if I can say this, Danny, but what we sell to them at about 13 to 15 pesos are sold back to the government for distribution at about 30.
What?
Sometimes.
Double.
So, who is doing that? I don't know. I don't care to know. I don't want to.
Media will find out. Media will find out.
Let them dig that out. No? However, what is the reason for this closed fishing season? With the difference that there are 2 kinds of waters in this country. First is here municipal waters. Very clearly, municipal waters is close to the municipality where they are located. The other is commercial fishing, which is on the high seas. Where is the delineation today? It's 15 kilometers from shoreline. Now you try to figure this out for those who are very bright. With 7,100 islands, where is your shore? Yeah? And the Bureau of Fisheries beautifully cannot identify where that shoreline is. But they say, basta 15 kilometers ka, doon ka commercial fishing, which is more than 3 gross tons of a vessel catch. 3 gross tons. Below that is when the motorized bankas catch. They are not subject to municipal, they are not subject to closed fishing. Right. Because they are not subject to closed fishing, I had an idea sometime in August or November to say, Bureau of Fisheries, can we talk of buying fish from the municipal fishermen during our closed season? That will even out the supply on a 12-month basis rather than on just 9 months. Okay? And they said, yeah, let's start talking about that. So, a big group of motorboat or municipal fishermen had a convener leader, si Asis Perez, former Bureau of Fisheries. Member of PCAFI. I talked to him and he said, this is good. I put them together and let's talk. We talk. Nagkaroon nagresulta yan. We eventually, after many issues, we eventually landed a memorandum of agreement with the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources that they would arrange for the municipal fishermen will sell their tambak to the countries because we buy a minimum, the very minimum that we buy is equivalent to 500 tubs. Banyera yun, 20 mil banyera. That's a tub, no? That's about 50 kilos. 500 tubs a day for one family. And we have to produce 2 billion cans in a year. So we wanted to even that out. We entered into a memorandum of agreement that was signed, and there was a press conference and everything, a lot of hullabaloo, but it turned out to be a lot of gabudibu. Why? Because somebody from the Malakaya, I can't name names, but it's from people from the fisher folk are saying, the countries are buying, they should pay us the correct price. And the fair price is 100 pesos per kilo of tambak. They're only selling at 30 in the wet markets. Why will they sell it to us at 120? This had turned sour from the point of view of the countries. And they said, okay, show us what you can, but here are our specs. Show us what you can do. We will buy anything that falls within our specs. What are the specs? The size of the fish must be so much. The temperature at point of delivery should be 4 degrees centigrade. So you need ice for that. The boatmen must be vaccinated before they enter our ports. It says, many more restrictions. And I said, for the project to succeed, we will relax on the specs para makarating. So the question that was asked of me publicly by the Bureau of Fisheries, how much do we deliver from the valley, from December to the valley? I said 72,000 metric tons. That will give us the buffer. So they said, we'll start Attorney Escoto is very, very concerned, newly appointed Bureau before director, and he was very cooperative. He moved very, very fast, and I was really actually all surprised that government people can move fast if they want to. So he moved very fast, he signed the contract. They went to Bulan, municipal fishing yun. They The problem was, most of the candidates already have buying stations in Bulan. So there was nothing new for them. The 120 pesos per recommended price by the official book, that was thrown down. We are paying at 45 to 50. How much fish did we catch? Or did we get supplied by the municipal fishermen? Zero. To this day. February. They could not meet the restrictions, the specs. And why? Because of the water or the seawater delineation. That's why we are turning around, and the President and I have been talking about defining what delineation is. Why 15 kilometers? That's a political distancing. That's a political measure. What we want is a science-based delineation, which is 7 fathoms, which was the way that the Fisheries Act, 850, then, which was a project of the old man Marcos, the father of the Ferdinand Marcos. That was science-based, because a motorized boat cannot go beyond a certain distance from shore without risking a turnover. If 15 kilometers, yun na habol nila. Nobody fishes there because you cannot get in. You're not allowed. So, under the law, there is an adjustment to 10.1 kilometers. This 10.1 is within the law, but there is a provision, provided the local mayor allows it. So, discretionary. Pagka ganyan discretionary, masyado nang hindi kami mapalagay.
Soft cost.
Hindi kami
So that's the corruption comes in.
Yeah, I guess. So that's why we asked the BFAR to help. The problem then is BFAR was not given sufficient funds to do this. However, I told our members, we will not stop because the end in view is to equalize the supply from municipal to commercial water throughout the year. Kung meron na tayong deal that we can perfect sooner or later, then we can proceed. Okay? So, President Danny was able to reach out and send messages to our President as Secretary of Agriculture and as President to help the fisheries recover, because he said, among all the growth experiences of all the other industries, fisheries lang ang bumagsak ng negative 5%. And you wanted an explanation for this. The explanation is very simple. What municipal fishermen say, ang bangka namin kailangan ng crudo. Paano namin babayaran yung crudo? Hindi malaman kung anong presyo bukas. Pag ganun eh. There is no stability of their plan for fishing. So they don't go up. And catch has been reduced to almost nothing, even by commercial fishing or municipal fishing, because of the crudo. That's one issue. The other issue is this distance. Natutunaw lang yung yelo nila, hindi ko sila nag-umpisa maghuli. Tunaw na yung yelo. So, bilasan na yung isla pagka nakuha. That's the reason hindi niya pinakanta sa kanil. Yung 40 degrees centigrade, mahirap yun, of course. Pero, how do you preserve na? We cannot slaughter. We cannot talk of slaughtering the fish. Ang liit yan. Kinakamay yan. Bumuka. Di ba? Yung mga marunong gumawa ng sardinas. Mahirap yun. But we need to have it at all because it has to be very fresh. vaccine in country.
Para hindi siya masira.
So,
Bigas na.
pagbigas na, wala, durog yun.
Tsaka hindi maganda lasa.
Okay, that's the second problem. Inalis ko na yung protective equipment, PPE requirement, at saka yung vaccination. Bahala na kayo, total, ngayon yata, parang simulat ko muna lang yung COVID. You know, you can cure it in about 5 days. Lockdown, no, in your own house. Okay, so there we are. Now, my campaign now is shifting to a focus on getting the delineation issue. There is a delineation. Every municipality looks for an offshore island within their region, and they say, yun, ang point. Wala na nahuhuli nun, malayo na. It is a joke. That is so we are firming our stand on a science-based phantom of death requirement, because that will measure the kind of pressure that they will. Okay? So, kung malalim yung harap ng munisipyo mo, papasokin nila kung munisipyo, because we have it. Okay? Now, there is another issue that is even worsening the situation. I have been informed by our members that many of them have pulled out their stocks from the supermarkets because of the attitude of the Department of Trade and Industry on SRP. They are using, suggested they are weaponizing SRP to terrorize us to go down in price. During the last typhoon, nag-declare na calamity ang gobyerno. Usamis is one, yeah. But when you have a calamity, the fisheries law allows the government to freeze prices, not suggested, but to actually freeze. What does freezing mean? Kung ano yung presyo mo yung araw na nag-declare, para ka nun, hindi ka na balabag, hindi ka na kagalaw, hindi ka mag-aakit. No? But what did the TTI do? They came up with an SRP for the frozen price. At the rollback prices, whoever is selling at 21, they roll back ng DTI, yung head ng Consumer Protection Bureau, you know, head.
Si Ruth.
May problema sa
Went down to 18, 4 pesos lower. Where the galleries discovered, ito pa talaga, susundin natin. Wala. Why? Because the supermarkets are the ones that are implementing and executing the discipline. They put down, they give you back your product, or they say, ayun, binenta mo 22, 18 lang yan, give us a refund. Hindi mo papalugi. You know, even the law on SRP, sa Consumer Act, on the portion that says SRP is allowed as a suggested retail price, to give a choice to the consumer. Not as a mandate, not as a weapon, but to give a choice that the government must recognize for both parties to win. It's a win-win situation. There must be a reasonable profit that should still be allowed. But in this case, to earn brownie points from the consumer, they drop the prices to lower than our cost of production. So that is where the problem is. And I've been talking like this for the last 3 months now. So that's where I am, and you're finished. My 15 minutes is up again.
Addition.
Sino nang mag-isipin? Sila na mag-isipin mas walang kapasibilidad. Wala kami pa kayo yan. Because PTI moves as an organization. Whoever is speaking be the one making the decision. Pero I think it's a group action that they are told to do. So I am not an insider at DTI. Si Doy, insider sa DAI. Pero hindi yung DTI.
Okay, open forum na.
Okay. Open forum.
Sige. Very easy lahat. Very nice. I think, Mr. President, this is a good lineup. Dalawa lang. Para exhausted na. Yes, ma'am. You were the first.
Sir, sorry, I have two questions, very short now. Sir, Shaila Francisco from TV5. Sir, clarify ko lang, yung rollback na you're saying, kailan nangyari po, and nationwide ba to?
August of 2022. That was August of 2022, actually July and August, no? But before that, we had a frozen SRP back to September 2019. Even before the pandemic, it was never changed.
Sir, my second question po. DTI just released the updated list of SRP. Today, I understand po ang hiniling ng 3 pesos, pero I'm comparing the prices from August. 1 peso and 50 centavos lang po yung in-approve na SRP. So, any reaction and what could be its impact given na sabi nyo may mga nasa-start na mag-pull out ng mga cancer diseases in the natin? Thank you.
Yeah. No. Yeah, they can buy a DTI, no? Because DTI, what did they do with their Kadiwa program? They bought onions at 700 pesos and sold through Kadiwa at 170. Subsidized. What government can stand up for an extended period of time? Uubusin mo yung pera. Sayang. Parang pakuya yan ang pinamigay mo yung pera. Kaya lang ito, sa pagkain na punta, baka mas mabuti dahil pinakain, yung actual na pamuya, ayuda, tawag nila ron, hindi napupunta rin sa nangangailangan. Napupunta rin sa nag-distribute. Hindi ba? That was the rumor. So, I was espousing to do it through Kadiwa. Because at least that benefits everybody. Because sa pagkain na punta. But they're not doing it right. The reason they're not doing it right is, I share a secret with you. I was working for food terminal from the period 1979 to 1985. Okay? That was when Kadiwa was born. And who is the architect? Ako po. Sa Kadiwa. And we were doing 3 billion a year of
Subsidy.
no, 3 billion, sales,
yeah. No subsidy.
It's not a subsidy. Ang advantage namin is we have very little money, cost of money.
Okay.
And I proved that when I was calling the Central Bank. Explain why you can sell at 30% lower. Why? Because we have no shelves. We have no shelves. They're all on paleta. Hindi kami naka-air condition. No? Pinipili ko directly from contract farmers. Walang inalis namin yung leadership. Okay? Given all of that, napababa ko ng 30% lower than the prevailing market price. There was one there. Ito muna. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, yung reaction daw dun sa 1 peso 50 cents increase today, which is...
I have not read that. I came here. Nasudyari ba?
Okay. Sir, yan siya nilabas hindi kanina, sir.
I will ask when I go back. Pero at 150, that's not acceptable.
Yun na yun.
150 from where? 18?
So 19.
Sir, for context, sir, the price range remain. Pero yung only 5 brands were granted 1.5 increase. Which I understand was sa inyong piece before was 3 pesos to bring it back to 21.
Correct.
So, sir, bakit siya
I don't think they will agree. I don't think they will, that my members will agree. And, you know, it is alright to patronize your clientele, your customer, but on a sustained loss level of operation, you will kill your own. And no businessman will allow that to happen. What we will do, I'll tell you, we have options of selling not through supermarkets. We have options to sell it through wet markets.
Sorry, stores.
Sari stores, wet markets. Because they don't go, walang walang shelf. Yung listing fee, walang shelf space, rentals, wala yung lahat ng added cost. And what the supermarkets do is they ask us to pay for all that inefficiencies. Yung kanilang mga tinatawag na merchandisers. Who is paying for that? Sa amin sinisingil. Sa amin sinisingil yun, merchandisers. Pag nag-upsell, tinatanggal yung tao. Kawawa.
Sir, just to follow up, you mentioned earlier that
Dali pa kumaparin ako ito sa...
Sir, namin yung pito sa magkakala. Sir, you mentioned earlier at 18 pesos, it's already below production cost of a candle service.
Yes,
Sir, anong estimate natin ng isang cost of production ng isang candle service, sir? 20?
Ikaw na nagsabi, sige. Tatagipin ko ganun yun. I think it's not fair for you to ask me a trade price because I am entitled to confidentiality of pricing.
But sir, if the DTI approved the 8 pesos, bringing it back to 21, that would be break even or little profit?
That may probably display for the increasing cost since 2020 in the pandemic. Umakit na lahat ng gasolina. Ang isda used to be 23 pesos, 27. It's now at 45. And you have the equal to sell at 2019 prices.
Were you invited dun sa dialogue? Was there a dialogue with DTI on this?
I've been asking to meet with Secretary Pascual. He was busy trying to get his confirmation. He has not met with us since he sat down.
There's something wrong with the process.
The chief of staff, who I talk to almost every other day, si Carol Sanchez.
No, Hindi.
She told me the problem is going to be with the president, and he's always with the president when he's out of country travel.
Sorties.
So hindi kami magkita. And he has not granted us audience. That's why I'm now talking to you. Maybe you are the vocal cords that we need to ring, so that somebody will hear us. Talk to us.
Sir, paano pong next plan of action yung given na half lang ng hinihiling 3 pesos ang nag-grant? Will you be appealing or another petition?
No, I think what is unavoidable is the looming shortage will become
A reality na.
will be a reality.
I can read your headlines na tomorrow, okay?
Sir, going back, sir, would you be asking for a petition to or appeal to grant another one?
I will likely submit a motion for reconsideration of this. But Ruth was saying, I can't change the SRP now because there is climate change. Saan galing yun?
They listen to Dr. Sanchez actually.
Saan galing yun? Hindi ko naiintindihan.
Sir, may ibang kumpanya daw sa Pinas na kayang sumunod dun sa SRP pero kayo mismo sabi ko ay hindi kakayanin yun dahil 80 pesos is below production cost, 20 pesos medyo okay pa, and 20 pesos may margin of kita na kayo dun sa...
No, but it's really break even. It pays for the added cost. Meron dating kita dun sa sardinas Nagdagdag ng mga cost, which remain at about 3 pesos. So nandun pa rin yung profit eh. If we were making, let's say, 50 centavo o 1 peso per feet, lang yun natin. Nagtagtap kami ng 3 pesos na cost. Yun ang pinahabol namin na ma-cover. But the profit is already bigger individually. So, do demand on it. And these people are very business oriented. Remember, the Chinese are almost 100% own the factories. They're very good at pricing.
So, kung posible yung mauwi sa pagsasama ng mga sardine companies, yung hindi kayo pabigyan sa interest?
Hindi sila marunong magsaka. Ang sardines company, naging canneries sila because of the bulk of business that they benefited from by catching. They go back to fishing.
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 Oo.
Pangingisda.
They might go back to fishing.
Pero yung cannery,
Baka i-include na nila. Sabi nga sa akin yung isang member, Mr. Pompey, mas pwede ba mag-import na lang kami, mas mura eh. Mag-import na lang kami, kako finished goods. Hindi, sabihin na finished goods, tapos process na rin. You know, what is dollars now? 56? Sure ba? 55, let's say 55. But that is high compared to what it was before. The tin foils that we have, that lahat ng canneries are doing to roll the cans here have increased by about 37%.
37%.
About 37%. Ang lata, ang tin can. Ang tin can. Pagkatapos yung tomato paste. Ito, very dangerous subject matter. Why we are importing the tomato paste for sardines? Because there is no variety that is applicable for cannery.
Here in the Philippines.
Yes,
Natawag
it's
natin
not.
tomato.
We can make that into paste, which is what sardines company.
I heard in a newspaper, BBN is operating again Northern Foods in Ilocos.
Good.
You've heard about that?
Pwede sila, but the farmers must plant
The variety you need.
not the cold variety, but the variety that we need. Yan yung pula nila ngayon, tsaka yung hindi po pwede yun.
What kind of
Because
variety?
those are the tomatoes that McDonald's, so on, and
Jollibee one.
Yeah.
Okay. Iba pa yan.
There is a disconnect. Disconnect between the
Ayan na yung
quality sa
sila yung kuha ko sa Northern Foods. Because he planted he was buying the own variety. And no man really to take it. Even the meat. Remember, I took care of the meat processing industry for 30 years before I retired. 30 years.
Ilan ang empleyado ng cannery? So, itutuloy ko na yung media requirement. Ilan ang empleyado? Rough ballpark.
Hindi, bumaba yan because of the social distancing.
Yeah, but
Nakalahati.
give a ballpark figure.
Maybe
30,000
together,
altogether. All the 14 members.
All of them, including na yung nahuli ng iba. Nasa kanila excluding.
Per cannery yan, ah?
No.
All of the canneries.
30,000 din sa 14 company.
Nawalan na kalahati niyan because nung
15,000.
Mga 60,000.
Kasi
50,000 na mawala.
Yes, sir.
Sir,
if you've seen films or videos of canneries, the women are all shoulder to shoulder. Nakatabi-tabi sila.
Parang sardinas talaga.
Pagkatapos sinabi mo, social distancing, layo ba yung lahat? Nakalahati. Ang pwede po.
Hindi pa bumabalik na yung ulit sa dati.
Nakahanap na rin yung gagawin. Yung mga ayaw na bumalik.
Sir?
Yes.
sir, big of the 25. You mentioned,
1025.
yes, you mentioned about the looming shortage of the lion will be blooming later on. So, what is the solution? In order to avoid the looming shortage of the supply, or what? Are you referring to the mackerel or yeah?
No. Mackerel, mas marami imported. Wala naman mackerel dito. Salmon and mackerel are imported.
Itamban.
Tamban lang ang meron dito. Doon ito kapag galunggong, hindi naman nila, iba yung hindi sa
No, bombing you mentioned 3, di ba? Diesel. Issue on diesel. Yun. Sasagutin ba ng gobyerno yung subsidy sa
We
diesel?
asked for a discount lane.
Oh.
We asked for a discount lane. Like they did for jeepneys. Di ba?
Yes.
Hindi mo pinibigay na eh.
Walang binigay.
Ayaw ko bigay ng finance.
Hindi ba kayo kasama doon sa subsidy ngayon? Kasi sabi nila doon, pati yung fishery industry kasama.
Ano yung kwento yun?
May I say something? In addition, perhaps I can speculate. You know, yung kanilang kontrata is for the small fisher folks to consolidate yung catch sa municipal waters para ibenta doon sa canning factories. Okay, sa mga canning manufacturers. The major problem here, ang frontliner kasi natin, local government units. The municipalities can do the buying, consolidating, and also quality control so that it can be solved there. But the major problem, I do not know if you heard about Sagip-Saka law. The Sagip-Saka law allows the local instrumentalities and government agencies to buy directly from the farmers and fisher folks. Yan ang batas. But when the GPPP, the Government Procurement Policy Board, put up their IRR, dinefine nila ang local farmer as those farmers that produce and cultivate crops. It excluded totally livestock, poultry, dairy, fisheries, even salt. Okay? So I do not know how the GPPP headed by the DBN called fisheries. Baka tawag nila kotse. Kasi local farmer, as a local farmer, sa crops lang. So we are requesting the President to immediately give a presidential directive to DBN to amend that IRR. How can a small fisherman qualify to a bidding process so that LGU can buy and help them, including salt farmers na kailangan naman ng Philippine Coconut Authority, ibibid pa nila para bilhin yung walang mag-qualify. May budgets, may BIR, mga permits. Nobody will qualify if we will not change the TPPP rules. That is the one that is perhaps preventing small farmers to sell to them. Dahil pukunti it has to be consolidated. Somebody should consolidate it. And dapat trabaho yan ng municipal government, ng local government. They cannot do that. Yes, even PCAFI-Han cannot buy from the fishermen dahil they will be violating the implementing rules ng GPPP. Ibibid. Paano yung isang maliit na fisherman na isang banyera lang naman, makikipag-bidding? How can he may budgets pa siya? May BIR pa siya? Then there's permit pa siya? Kung siya'y kooperatiba, in-exclude ang cooperative. The cooperative cannot sell based on the law. They have to go on a bidding or they certificate of compliance yan. Yun yung policy that gusto nating tulungan yung ating agricultural sector, pero itong nagpapatakbo ay preventing it from doing that. So we are, in part of that memo, we are requesting the President to immediately make a presidential directive to the DBM, who is chairing the DPPP, to amend that rules ng Sagip-Saka law. Binago nung implementing rules yung Sagip-Saka law as if DBM is Senate and Congress. Naging legislative code sila. Binago yung spirit of the law ng Sagip-Saka. Totally. So kami sa daily, bidding kami, papataya kami. Cooperative has to be. If you are not an individual, you cannot bid. On crops na. Excluded fisheries, livestock, dairy, poultry, soap.
Kaya pala nabili niya na yung onion sa Mindoro.
Hindi mo mabibili yan pa. Ibibili nila yan. Pag yan, kaya nasa ombudsman sila. Pagka yan ang isang gobyerno, FTI, bumili sa isang kooperatiba, walang bidding, ombudsman siya. Because they are violating the rules of the GDP. 91-84. Tama, ombudsman ka. Kasi kailangan mag-bidding ka. So, Mindoro versus Pagkain versus Taklak, patayan sila. Because they are cooperatives, they are excluded from selling to government without a bidding process, which is against the Usapang.
Okay? Any more looming questions? Sir?
Namin yung bulbulong, sir. Sir, ano yung balance ngayon ng sardines industry since hanggang katapusan pa yung close fishing season? Where are you getting the supply of the sardines? And ano yung ginawa nyo yun, sir, in the past 3 months and the past 2 months for the supply?
Doon na.
It's working.
Doon nga kami pumupunta sa Bulan Sorsogon where the municipal fishermen have set up selling stations where also the sardines canneries have set up buying stations. So we're buying from areas that are not under close fishing. Okay, Bicol, Sorsogon, baka sa Palawan, I think may better.
Sir, na-meet nila yung monthly requirement? May estimate, sir, ilan lang na supply ng municipal?
Zero nga eh.
Hindi, sir, yung sa pula, yung mga pinagbila niya outside the close fishing.
Well, they were selling to the contract buyers. Sa canneries, that is not an increase in the production that contributes to this looming shortage. These are regular business transactions that they are experiencing. So there is really no movement there. And I pity, and I share the challenges that the BIFAR is facing. Because meron silang big question, kung mga hindi sila makakabili. Hindi ba sila makakabili? Number 2, sino naman nagpamanage lahat ng consolidation? So, that's one problem. At least, na-play yan.
Sir, since wala naman na-deliver din sa BIFAR contract, so yung ibang canneries, sir, nag-cut ng production since wala silang raw materials?
If they're forced to, they are not able to not yet import. Yes, meron import. Pero I think for SRP products, for the premium products, SMS products.
Sir, last na lang. So yung ibang canneries, sir, may mga wala na bang stocks ng sardines?
Meron na. I cannot say which ones.
Okay lang, sir. So meron na, sir.
Si Ruth Castello ata.
Si Ruth Castello, mayroong stock lang po tayo sa
Hindi.
bahay.
Anyway, the open forum is about to end.
Meron ba? Sige.
Wala na.
Sir, meron pa, sir?
Sorry, just to clarify lang. Sir, just to clarify lang. Ang sinasabi nyo kasi yung shortage, pero kanina sinabi nyo, may nararamdamang shortage. So, what is the current status ngayon? Shortage or looming pa rin po?
Nagkakaroon na, nagpupull out na nagpupull out na nga eh. So there will be already created shortage of some brands. Yung sa Usamis na lumabas na SRP ng Usamis, sinatila ko na ito. Lahat sila yata.
Sir, to clarify, so double shortage pala yung raw materials plus yung finished goods kasi since at the end of the value chain, para sa ato kayo sa SRP, sir. So, pareho, sir. Thank you, sir.
Good morning,
Yes.
You mentioned that we don't have the right tomato variety for the tomato sauce that we need. What is the variety and what's stopping us from growing and processing it locally?
Ang alam ko po, variety. I can only grow well in Cavite, sa Mindanao lang.
So it's a climate issue.
Research nila.
I don't know, they have to research it. I am not involving myself. I have too many headaches to involve myself what kind of tomato they have. Basta wala, we need to import. We need to import from Beijing. Well, more in Mongolia.
Yvette, you have a question? Yes, go.
Okay na po siya.
Alright.
Any more?
No more?
Oh.
Sir, hindi ako newscaster, pero sir, may mahuhuli ba yung fisher folk na tamban? At magkano kaya kitain niya kung ibibenta sa cannery?
Magkano alin?
Maaaring kitain ng fisher folk.
Kung ano kita, kung binenta na sa Cavite.
30 per kilo, sir.
Oo. Ewan ko mukhang yun ang nagiging presyo bago itong lahat na ito eh. That means, nakukuha nila yung gasto sa crudo. Saka yung hirap ng However, I know that they cannot. That's why we're buying at around 45 to 60 because we know na mas mataas na ibinabayad nila sa crudo. Okay?
Alright. Okay, yung sa water security sa akin, ang punto kong gusto kong maipahatid. Sana ma'am and Ernie, mapakinggan kayo ng DA Secretary para yung Bureau of Soils and Water Management. Bureau yun eh. May budget yan for the water impounding program. No? You have to argue your case.
Actually,
Implementation. Really?
actually, cause ko sila, ang budget na napakaliit na kinuglan. No? Hindi lamang yun, lilimit sila sa where to go. No? It's ridiculous, but for your guys, because I was I've talked to them a lot. I know their master plan. The fund is so small compared to what they give to rice.
Yes,
Rice
exactly.
is very good.
Exactly.
67% is rice, right? And the other crops are really nothing. Even fisheries is fantastically good.
I think that's the selling point.
Okay.
We need more budget for the sweep.
Pero it's not just the swift there. Kasi actually yung point lang doon is sobra yung ating water resources pero hindi natin siya completely nakaka-capture. Swift alone is not enough to fully address yung kakulangan sa tubig, just to capture it. So isa lang po yun sa mga examples. Kasi halimbawa, ina-mention ni Sir na bumababa ang water table. Dadating ang panahon na maubos yung nakaimbaon na tubig. What next? So dapat merong several technologies that need to be put together para ma-capture yung inefficiencies.
Last soundbite lang, no? Actually, why we need money, we don't need much more money. Because in the model we're talking about, you need nothing except the parables. In other words, it is a problem of governance, to be honest with you. Even with the money you have right now, if you just get some of that water money into just, doing things like have this little training here and there, which you did already, you can do it. It's a problem of governance.
All right, we have to end because it's almost 12. Again, I hope you get some fishery sector. Again, I repeat, is taking a beating, and it's ironic that why it is taking a beating. We have the resources to make it grow. So now you heard. I hope media can help us. Awaken the government agencies and instrumentalities to help us increase production and growth of the fishery sector to catch up and help our economy. So again, thank you very much for your coming here, coming over. And I'd like to thank our resource speakers. We purposely made about 2 speakers. Last week we had, I think, 6. For more interaction. Thank you very much for your questions. and patronizing us. We'll have another one on March, another interesting issue. Every month we will have that. Okay? Thank you. And yeah, one last.
I will just tell our friends in media, I will ask President Danny to invite me again when there is already something new. Because on the two occasions I spoke of Savage, I talked of the same problem and still when we began, we haven't moved forward. No? So sa susunod Danny, ako na magsasabi sa iyo, hindi nangyari, tawagin mo na sila.
I hope you have something to change.
I just heard this man. Alam mo, they tell me about it, Danny. He's the best. He's not the best. He's the only one for me. Only ang most of this thing. So his 8 memoirs, ang daming news. Maliban dito, masabi yung 8 memoirs binigay, ang daming talaga. Tawa ko na si Danny, he-answered himself or did it something. Ang daming topics pwede ko niya. Because 1 month is 30 days. Within the 30 days, kulang na kayo dito. Read the 8 memoirs. And you put it in your phone and write about it. And that will wake up the government.
We have given you copies of the gist of what we have written to the President. So March, we have another issue. I hope that the Water Council that was just created will not be the same as the Bamboo Council. Hindi binigyan ng pera. Pwede ba? Bigyan natin ng pera. So, sana, di ba? Let's put the money where our mouth is. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, media. Our friends, maraming salamat sa inyo. Thank you all for that. Thank you, sir.
Enjoy yung sirkulas. Boy, sabihin ko, gusto ba?
Araw-araw ang digmaan. Umaga't gabi sumasabak sa laban. Dapat protektado ka outside at inside. Immune Advance contains 4 active ingredients gaya ng lagundi, malunggay, non-acidic vitamin C at zinc. Tulong pampatibay resistensya para tulong proteksyon. Isama pa ang proper diet at exercise. Para katawan ay handa, Immune Advance helps support a healthy immune system. Immune Advance ang sandata. No approved therapeutic claims. Ang Immune Advance ay hindi gamot at hindi dapat gamiting panggamot sa anumang uri ng sakit.